All right, good evening. Want to take just a little bit of time and go over what we've accomplished over the last couple of weeks and the development of both your writings, the APA, some of you have come from to where you are as a class, the ideas that you're putting forth. Excellent ideas, excellent development, and you're taking the feedback and you're implementing it in your writings, and that's really why we're here, is to get better at those things. And I really like you guys are synthesizing the information, understanding it, and you're implementing. So that's the key, is that not only are you reading and synthesizing, but you're also articulating in these discussion boards what it is that you're learning. So highly appreciate everybody's hard work and effort. All right, so moving on. Hey, and some of you, and I haven't looked, but did not do and turn in some of the PSI sentencing. So if you haven't, there is a small tick off the grade, but get that done, get that turned in tonight. All right, so going on. Okay, so now this week, it's going to be a little bit easier week. And so really what I would probably, for some of you who are like, it feels like there's just a lot to do, I would probably look ahead at week 4 and seeing what the major work is and begin to work on that, okay? And so if there's I know that some of you had sent in how much, how long, and I think I've told you from the beginning, a paper is not, I don't know that I can formally say I don't care. I can formally say this: be precise, be clear, do the work, and learn as much as you can, and then write it out, explain it. I know that there are times that I'm seeing some of these papers, and it seems as though you're rushing through an idea when you haven't really developed it all the way. I can see the seed of something really good there, and you're just dropping the ball. I don't know if it's kind of like, it's like you got so much to do, you want to get it in, and you want to be done with it. And I get that. I mean, like, look, I get that. Having been a father of 5, a full-time law enforcement, coaching baseball, and just those are the things that I was doing while I was going to school full-time, probably much like you guys are, and it's having to really figure out how you're going to develop that work-life balance. And quite honestly, it's not easy, but I'm also not wanting to drop the ball in developing your ideas, because one of the things that I feel like what we're doing now, and the whole reason behind the development of the ideas, is because a lot of you guys are going to be key stakeholders at some point in your organization, whether it be in law enforcement, whether it be in another particular area. I know someone's taking is in cybersecurity. You're still going to have to articulate your ideas if you're going to be a key stakeholder in your company, and you're going to have to write out policy and formulate ideas. And this is the basis for all that. It really is. This is where you're going to learn to be able to take an idea and fully develop it. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I just want to say, hey, that's the reason that when you see me writing something, hey, if you like a B or if you like a C, then then just do that work, which you've seen what you're going to get now, and you kind of settled in, and you kind of know, hey, this is what it's going to be like. And if you are the go-getter, you want the exemplary grade, then then go and stretch yourself, but don't be afraid to stretch yourself. Don't be afraid to go out and attempt to fail a little bit. You're going to be okay. All right, so let's go into this week. Reading assignment, week 3, chapters 4 and chapter 6, right? So that's going to be, the first one's going to be probation, and the second one's going to be parole. There's a film, Life on Parole, and so check that out. And then there's an article in there, and then the discussion board. Now, at first glance, this discussion board, when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, wow, that seems pretty simple The discussion is prompting you in Matthew 18, 21, and 22, which is really something that we have all probably heard in church or through friends. Like, how often should you forgive? And Jesus is going, 70 times 7. So what does that mean? Really, it's like it's an infinite number. It's like, and this is where I think that we in America don't do a good job. And I'm really not sure. I can't sit back and understand. I remember I was doing some research on sex offenders, right? So you're for their life, you're on the sex offender registry. And like, how are you going to get a job? How are you going to support yourself? How are you going to find a home? Like, it's like, and you're talking about, so there's a lot of crimes that fall under sex crimes that you would have to get on the register, the sex offender registry for life. And it could be, something you did at 17 years old and that sticks with you. There is no forgiveness for certain crimes. And I remember going back and look at how Europe handles those things and how Australia handles their probation. So really, if you guys have not ever looked at this part of the correction system, if it's never really popped up in your mind, what is that probation and parole? For me, probation once somebody serves a sentence, should there be anything else? Should there be, it's probably the more difficult part, because at that point you're having to get out, and find a job. And some of the people that are getting out, they've got felonies. Well, guess what? How many times do you see an employer won't hire a felon, right? So that's an issue. So the community is not giving forgiveness. The probation is not giving, the correction system. So there's a lot of unforgiveness in there. So how can a person ever reconcile to that? And sometimes I've had some ideas of going, what if while a person is in jail and they accomplish certain things, looking at the idea of having their records expunged after a period of time, because should you be able to do that? Should they have their records expunged? Because that's the only way that, it's like when I think about forgiveness, when you talk about God says, I will cast, your sins as far as the east to the west. Well, that is totally being gone. So does that play a part in the sentencing and in the reentry process where someone is actually forgiven, right? So maybe you can figure out how you want to approach this. This is going to be this allows offenders to, so I'm just going to read this real quick. So as a form of forgiveness, as convicted offenders can avoid jail or be released early from prison, this allows offenders to serve their sentence and still live in the community with some restrictions or guidelines. That, I tell you what, probation and parole, that the re-offense or an order for arrest for someone who has failed to comply to their probation is probably as high as just the fact that they will go out and commit another crime after they have been released. So there's a lot of things that, I tell you, dig into this. I know there's a couple of you that, I am looking forward to how you're going to approach this. So anyway, I'm excited about this week. It's going to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be an easier week. I know last week you had the discussion boards and you had your case study. This week is just discussion boards. And I'm going to tell you, I want you to really focus on these discussion boards, because it is, to me, it's the thing that I'm really knowing that you understand the material and that you can come and you can engage your classmates. So I look forward to hearing from you. If there's anything, look, you guys have reached out a few times through email, but if you need to talk through something, we can set up a time where I will be available to you, so we can actually talk, right? So don't feel like the only way you can engage with me is through email. and it's the easiest way to set up a time. But I'm free to do that. Generally, my job is I'm in currently after 20 years of law enforcement. I'm now in medical sales, so my job is a little bit different. I'm usually in the OR. I'm just saying all this to go so that you understand, hey, we can probably set up a time that's convenient for you. It might be during the day, it might be in the evening, but like, don't be afraid to reach out if there's something you don't understand, and I will surely be glad to get with you and walk you through some stuff. All right, that's 10.5 minutes of just stuff. It may be too much, it may not be enough. If it's not enough, hey, you know what, reach out for sure. I'd love to discuss these things with you. All right. Y'all have a good evening, and I will talk to you soon.